Hey YouTube, I just wanted to share with you a little bit of what's going on in our shop here. We're transferring cabs and accessories over from these older 800 Rangers into the new full-size 570 Ranger from Polaris. These are 2017 models. So I wanted to go over a few things, similarities between these two. The cabs are interchangeable, the Pro Steel cabs. What we do have to do is you have to close up the hole in the back of the cab where this CVT inlet was at before. Just use some flashing and some silicone and seal it up. Also, the lap belt for the middle passenger gets in the way of the back panel, and you'll either have to modify that to make that fit or remove it. And I'm not telling you to remove it. I'm just saying you're going to have to make some sort of adjustments to make the back panel fit. I would never tell you to remove safety equipment. So, having said that, I also need to move the heater units over to this new model. And with 800, you had to use a thermostat adapter to do that, which would go right on the thermostat housing there, right underneath of it. But what's nice about this machine is they use a large coolant recirculation line, which helps bleed air out of the head. You can go ahead and remove that hose and hook in your pressure side heater hose there. And on the suction side, here's where the other end of it is. You could remove it there and hook in the other heater hose. Now, since that is a recirculation loop, that does need to circulate water all the time, so I would tell you not to put a valve into your heater circuit just for that reason, because I think that coolant should be moving to keep the air bled out of your cylinder head and help with aiding in longevity of your cooling system and not having an air pocket built up in your engine. So with that, they did some really nice things on this unit. The access to your belt drive cover is really good. They've removed some cross members and added some. It's kind of a cross between a mid-size Ranger, a 700 strut Ranger, and an 800 Ranger. I mean, nothing's really the same, but at the same time, they have a lot of similarities to other models that they've either had or have currently. The airbox is easy to get to, unlike on the 900s, and the oil fill and oil filter, awesome access. Great job on that. I love that. That's so nice for being able to access for oil changes. Now with that, under the seat, lots of open room, easy to clean. And the front, as I said, they went back to a strut style suspension like the old 700s had and the mid-size models. But they do specify that they still use or still have the same suspension travel as the 800s. Another nice thing is they went to fly-by-wire accelerator pedal, and they've probably been doing that in the 900s for years, but it eliminates that throttle cable, and in the cold weather and cold conditions, a throttle cable can be a nightmare if you have any water that gets into it and, heaven forbid, have it break. That can really cause you a breakdown when you don't want it to. Now, on the drawback side, I can't get my 800 bucket that used to sit in this area in here because they have put the fuse panel here, and they've kind of shimmed out the ECU a little farther away from that panel than the 800 was. I don't know why. So I'm going to see if I can relocate this to the other side here in the future and see if I can get around that and reuse that bucket. Another drawback, little dinky battery, four-wheeler battery. And it even says in the owner's manual that it may not be sufficient for cold weather operation, and you may have to upgrade the battery to a larger unit. And I understand wanting to cut costs and make this an economy model, but I've never known Polaris to be a fair weather machine. I mean, they built snowmobiles and everything else for cold weather. I just don't know why they thought it would be a good idea to send something out of their factory that may not start well in cold weather. That's just the drawback to me right out of the gate. They did block off a lot of the firewall area that the 800s had open, but they left all this open up on top. The nice thing is your 800 foam, if you have foam on your firewall, will fit up in there. But it's just a question of why didn't they just finish the job there? I don't know. I don't understand that. Under hood, this is all open, which is awesome for cleaning and getting to the back side of your radiator for cleaning it out. That's going to be great. They did not include any power wires from the battery to your electrical block, except for this accessory on wire, key on wire. You'll have to run your own battery cables, probably 6 or 8 gauge if you want to run a winch or any other heavy duty accessory, which sucks. I mean, I know it's economy model, but again, why even put this up here if you don't want, if you're not going to include power? And further, they only even put one nut on this bar. The other 2 studs don't even have the nuts on them. And they're not a common size. There's some metric size that I don't have any of. It's just going to be another trip to a hardware store or something to get that taken care of. So that kind of stinks. So where's the radiator cap? Here's the radiator. Here's the radiator cap. It is right there. It's about 2 inches under this plastic, about right here. It is very hard to get to. I mean, I've got big hands, and I can get to it, but it's hard to get threaded on straight again without switching hands and going to the other hand. And if this is hot, or for some reason you need to get in there, it's a dangerous situation. And I'm surprised that Polaris would turn this out in this manner, because you can't even get a funnel in there well to fill this. I'm going to have to end up using a hole saw to cut this open to check the fluid level and fill it. Don't like that. I mean, I kind of know what this is. This is a radiator off of another model that they said, oh, that'll fit, and they threw it in here and ran with it. So I'm not digging that very well. Lastly here, accessories. You get on Polaris' website and they have almost 0 accessories for this Ranger. You can get a canvas cab and you can get a winch and you can get a couple of lights and some tires and wheels, but very little in terms of cabs, no heaters that I'm aware of. You get some lock and ride accessories that all the other Rangers use, but for this model it's almost like, I don't know, you could compare it to, this is the ugly sister that lives in the same house with all the other supermodels, and nobody really wants to acknowledge she lives in the same building with them, but she's there, so they just try to hide her in a corner. And I'm not saying this is the top-notch machine they build. All I'm asking is, with all the similarities to the 800 that it does have and the mid-size model, why isn't the Pro Steel cab available, or a poly cab? Why is a heater not available? Simple things like that make all the difference when you're going to purchase this model. Because I can tell you right now, if we didn't have the steel cabs off these 800s, there's no way we would look at this Ranger. Not with a canvas cab, not for people that want to work with them. They're just not an option. You got to have something better than canvas. That's not going to cut it. So, I guess for myself, my motto's always been, if you're going to do something, do it to your best ability. And the machine is good. I just wish that there was more offered for it. And maybe their angle is they don't want to offer too much because it may take away from their 900 and 1000 lineup. I don't know. So there's probably some marketing involved, but I like the machine. I like the simplicity. I like a lot of that. I dislike some of the other stuff we talked about, but in terms of power, this machine will walk all over 800 with the same load. So I'm going to cut that all for now, cut that short because we've been running a little long here. And we'll pick this up farther down the road when we get some more miles on them. So appreciate you watching, and that's all for now.